to Biblical Psychology, the channel that combines psychological ideas with scripture to help you respond more effectively to the promises in the Bible with regards to mental health. And if this is the first time that you're joining us, you'll be very welcome to watch some of our previous episodes, particularly the first one that talks about the vision behind the channel. And today we're continuing with our theme of socio-political determinants of mental ill health, and we're going to be looking at the psychological impact of pandemics. I thought it was a timely topic to look at because we've just come out of a pandemic ourselves, haven't we? The COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm just going to begin to draw on a particular verses from the Bible, just one passage today, but I think it's sufficient to set the whole themes of pandemics from a biblical perspective. And then we're going to take a look at some of the history of pandemics that have occurred in our nation. And then we're going to have a look at the psychological consequences of a pandemic. So Matthew 24, 3-8 states, and the Bible entitles this passage, "The Signs of the Times and the End of Age." Now as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows." So there you have it, Jesus forewarning that pestilences or pandemics was predicted to happen. And throughout history, we can see that there have been various pandemics that have occurred. So in 165 AD to 180 AD, it was recorded that the Antonine Plague occurred, which is an ancient pandemic that broke out across the Roman Empire and killed 2,000 people per day. The cause is unknown, but many believe that it was caused by smallpox and measles. In 1345 AD to 1352 AD, we have recorded the Black Death, and this was a pandemic that extended through Europe and Asia and killed an estimated number of 25 million people in Europe. Symptoms included fever, chills, blood, and pus seeping out of swellings all over the body. And then in 1870 to 1874, we have what's called smallpox pandemic, and this pandemic extended from Europe to Asia and then America, causing approximately 500,000 deaths worldwide. And then in 1871 to 1824, we have cholera, which is described as the first cholera pandemic which emerged in India in 1817. It was later brought by British soldiers from India to countries outside of Asia. This pandemic consisted of an acute diarrheal infection caused by the ingestion of food and water contaminated with the bacterium Vibrio cholerae. In 1889 to 1890, it's recorded that the Russian flu occurred, and this is described as the first modern flu pandemic spread from Russia through Europe and through every part of the planet. Approximately 1 million people died. In 1918 to 1919 is recorded the Spanish flu, which was considered the deadliest in history, which infected a third of the world's population, 20 to 50 million deaths worldwide. In 1968, we have recorded the H3N2 pandemic, which spread throughout Southeast Asia, reaching the US, UK, and other countries in Europe. It killed an estimated 1 million people. In 1981, we have HIV or AIDS recorded, which most of you will know what HIV was or is. In 2002 to 2004, we have SARS, which started in China and spread through to North and South America, Europe and Asia, infecting 8,098 people and killing 774 people. Symptoms included high fever, body aches, dry mouth, and pneumonia. And then around 2019 to 2020 or so, still occurring to some degree, we then had the COVID-19 pandemic, which apparently infected 2 million people and killed hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. So now looking at some studies which have sought to understand the mental health consequences as a result of pandemics. And there is acknowledgement that more research is done, but needs to be done. But we have a few to just give some example of what can happen. So Antisevic in 2021 found that the fear of infection, social distancing, and economic consequences have been identified as significant stressors, particularly for vulnerable groups. Lama in 2021 found that being exposed to pandemics, specifically COVID-19, resulted in profound impact on mental health, leading to increased stress, depression, and anxiety, burnout, and post-traumatic stress. And Alarcon in 2020 found that social isolation and loneliness further exacerbated mental health issues. Lin in 2023 found that sleep disturbance and suicidal thoughts can happen as a result of pandemics. And July in 2023 found that a lack of sociability and disrupted medical and psychological concerns was also another consequence. So just going to bring up a graph actually on the screen, which was published by the National Statistics website, and this is in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, where it found that rates of psychological symptoms such as depression are doubled after the pandemic. So we see there quite clearly that the pandemic, our recent pandemic, has doubled the burden of mental health concerns. So that's all I wanted to say on the psychological consequences of pandemics. And I think in summary, what it's showing is that from a biblical perspective, this is something that Jesus had predicted over 2,000 years ago. And it's actually seen as entering into end times. And that pandemics also have potential to predispose people to mental health difficulties. And if you're someone that's been negatively impacted by mental health difficulties due to the pandemic, I hope that now you might be finding a way out of it. But of course, if you're left with residual difficulties which are still affecting you, then it's recommended that you see your general practitioner, who might be able to refer you for appropriate psychological treatment. Or if you belong to a faith-based church that believes in the power of healing, then you might want to seek prayer. Okay, so thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, because that way you'll be notified of any further episodes coming up. Bye-bye.